What's up, everybody? It's Daniel Cavey with Manic Acts. We're coming to you with episode 2, piecing out your personal collection to gain your personal collection. So we're going to talk about selling what you have on hand right now on different platforms or different ways and what to do with it so you can gain the things that you actually want to collect. Right. So we've all been a break or a pack game or bought through FOMO of things that we just don't necessarily need or want. And when you're collecting, that's going to be big because you do not want to have all this lingering inventory around. Now, when you're selling, lingering inventory can be beneficial at some points because you'll have different times a year where cards go up, cards go down. Wrestling has a tendency to stay around the same, but will have small spikes to maximize your profitability if you're a full-time seller or even a part-time seller. Now, I am filming this video on 7/16, so this is after Night of Champions, after Saturday Night Main Event, after Evolution, after Great American Bash, or All In, and then after Great American Bash. So we're just going to talk about Night of Champions, Saturday Night Main Event, and Evolution. We won't get all in to All In, and then we won't get that much deeper into NXT Great American Bash. Although I believe all those PLEs were great. From what I heard, All In was excellent. Very good show from the AEW team. So let's talk about Night of Champions. So Cena wins. Figured that. That leads Punk to actually getting that match on Monday night where he had just recently won, where Roman came back. You guys all saw that. By the time this episode comes out, everybody's going to kind of been through that episode and whatnot. So Raquel versus Rhea, great match. Rhea won. Roxanne interfered. Wasn't surprised about that. Don't think it has anything to do with any cards. I don't think Rhea is getting that championship back anytime soon, especially now that Naomi has cashed in. Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Great match. The tease that Cena finishes retirement with the belt is there. Jade versus Asuka. So, Jade's queen of the ring. Does that mean that Jade's going after Naomi? Can she go after Naomi? Will she go after Naomi? I guess we'll see now that Naomi is on the Raw brand. All right. Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa with interference. Solo's back. Solo's coming for people. And Solo's here. So don't be surprised if you see any more Solo Sikoa. I definitely think his card market is undervalued. So definitely a buy if you are looking to sell for a profit. Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. Karrion's card values right now are through the roof. And I don't mean hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but, anything low end, buy for $1, flip for $2. That's the name of the game, So these results can drive the popularity, especially Jade and Asuka and Karrion and Sami. Asuka coming back. Now she Kabuki Warriors. Karrion and Sami, got Karrion and Scarlett. Sami is out now. Seth is hurt. We had Goldberg retire. Gunther win the championship. Roman came back. Naomi cashed in. I mean, so many things happened. And Vakur won the Battle Royal. So is she going to go over and cross-brand against Tiffany? Who knows what's going to end up happening with this kind of stuff. But it's great to see that there's more to the story than just the base PLE. I did think Saturday Night Main Event was kind of boring, but let's get into what we were talking about today. So I was talking in a Whatnot stream. So I was talking about how this show and Whatnot stream. As I was talking about this show in the Whatnot stream the other day, the subject came up, and I noticed a lot of streamers popping up on Whatnot. That's great for the wrestling community. And I can tell you that, competition makes things more edgy. Like, you can't just try to dupe in there and try to weasel your way into sales. You really got to have good inventory. You have to have good relationships, and you have to build those good relationships. So, I've noticed some of the good sellers or some of the new sellers have some great inventory, and they're patient, right? They have, their set standard prices. They're not working down unless need be, or if they bundle or something like that. But, that's not a bad thing. And anybody who gets upset or worried about that, they just need to realize that a lot of people in the wrestling community are personal collectors. So when you're a personal collector, you are going to keep the majority of what you have, right? I for sure I have several different superstars who I collect. Kane, Mankind. You have Undertaker, Rhea Ripley, and then I have certain like niche things that I like to collect too. Like I have a card of Eugene. I gave one away the other day in a Whatnot stream, but I have another one, and I plan on keeping it because I remember growing up as a kid that was a pretty, nowadays I guess it'd be an interesting skit to have, but back then it was great, right? Um, this is great for the wrestling community because the luck to find certain cards for your collection is that much easier on Whatnot now because people have inventory. The more people that are getting on, the more cards that you're going to see, the more cards that are for sale, because it's not like these people are going on to just hang out, right? They're going on to sell stuff, right? And I've seen a lot of them get to that 1K sales mark, which if you don't know on Whatnot, or even District, that you have to get to 1,000 sales. So 1,000 unit sales to unlock immediate payout. So for a first time seller, when you get on there, what happens is you sell a product, you ship the product. When the product gets to the customer and they get the product, that's when you get the release of the funds. So just something to keep in mind, especially if like when you're starting out, you're selling bigger stuff. You got to be careful because you're not going to get that immediate payout. So if you need that immediate money to get to that point, just make sure that you're shipping correctly and don't have any issues that come up during shipping. All right. So the question is, how did these people come up with the inventory, and where did they come from, right? So the answer is at first themselves. So, like I said, you've been in a break, you've been in a pack game, you've been in this, you've been in that, and you end up with cards that you just don't necessarily need. So I was the same way. Originally, I was streaming baseball and Pokemon. I did Hot Wheels cars as well. And I still do some of that kind of stuff. So check us out on Whatnot, Manic Axe. But what I can tell you is that I moved to WWE because I kept watching and I kept learning and I kept seeing things that I just really liked, right? So you buy into a random letter break or a pack game, maybe a mystery show, and you spent all this money, but you haven't gotten that one that you want. Maybe you bought a pack and got an out of 5 Tiffany Stratton auto that you want to flip for 3x to 10x. And I mean, if I got a Tiffany Stratton, bye-bye. I don't want any Tiffany Stratton cards. I don't need any Tiffany Stratton cards. They are all for sale if I have them, just so everybody knows. All right. Now you can hunt that Rhea that you really want. That's what I want. And buy into more breaks, taking that risk if you will 10x your money again. So whether or not you're selling on eBay, stream selling on Whatnot, District, specifically DibDick Cards, shout out to DibDick Cards, TikTok, or anywhere else, in the majority of the opportunity on the internet comes with fees, right? So everything is coming with fees. You're buying something at a price, you're going to sell it at a price, but not even get that price because a fee comes out, right? So you're going to have your seller fees, your potential shipping fees, you're going to have your potential supply costs, all these things are involved. All right. So, you'll see a majority of lower end streams don't even start things at $1 at this point. Why? Well, if you sell a card for $1, right? And you're going to get 54 cents, give or take, based on the shipping price, because they're going to charge you that 30-cent processing fee, the payment processing fee. Now, that means you got to be careful, right? Because you may see your card collection and you're like, I got liquid gold here. And then you go on and you got 9 people in the room, you put it up for $1 and every card sells for $1. So you go from thinking you have $300 to having a little bit over $150, right? And that's if every card sold at $1. So, me personally, do I think every card out there is worth $1? Yeah, you probably paid $1 at least for a card. And I do think that that is the potential. But there's also places like buysportscards.com where I can go and list cards for 25 cents if I wanted to. And there's eBay where you can start things at 1 cent if you wanted to, right? But remember, the buyer's paying shipping, the buyer's paying taxes, the buyer's paying this, and there's a lot of risk involved with that, especially if you're only buying one card for $1. Now, would you want to buy a card for $1 with $4 shipping? Absolutely not. You would either combine to make sure that you get a bulk deal from that person, or you would make sure that you are buying things with lower shipping. All right. So now I can tell you that the seller, when they're starting a $1 card at $2, they're not trying to rip you off. That's shipping and handling and all that kind of stuff. They have to, when you pay shipping, you pay the shipping for the post office to ship the card. You are not paying that person in the shipping fee for the team bag, for the top loader, for the protection of the card. You're not paying any of that stuff. So if a card is worth $1, putting it in a top loader and a penny sleeve and a team bag and an envelope costs money. So that's your handling fee. So that's why the cost for $1 card may be $2. So perfectly okay with that. I don't necessarily think I'm buying a lot of those cards for $2, unless maybe it goes in PC and it's kind of unique. I do like to buy unique cards. I don't need to necessarily have serial numbered, low numbered cards to feel, consumed with it. But all right. So it's honestly more beneficial both for the seller and buyer to find a group of cards, let's say 20 of them, and sell them at one time. This also lowers the cost of the buy for the buyer and raises the profit margin for the seller, right? So let's say you sell 20 cards for $10. You just lose your percentage per platform fee and payment processing, and $10 can possibly bring somewhere in around $8.50 or $9. If you get 54 cents a purchase, the potential of not selling all throughout the live auction because shipping charges during live auctions, that could be a problem. Because imagine this. A buyer buys 10 cards at $1 in a row from you, and you could have sold all 10 of those cards in one lot for $8. It's probably more beneficial to do the 8, because the 8, you're at least going to get the $8, $7, right? But if you sell them at $1 each, 54 cents, and the buyer's paying shipping every time until they max out that shipping. So it becomes less attractive for a buyer to buy. I do think that Whatnot does shipping wrong. I know that they keep the extra money that goes into shipping that doesn't necessarily get charged back. And what I mean is eBay will refund or charge you more based on shipping that needed to be added to the card. More than likely, Whatnot is keeping that fee. They don't come out and say it. I actually ChatGPT'd it one time, and there was a lot of things that were involved with that. So just something to think about. With District, you can actually have a little bit leeway with your shipping, or you can use Pirate Ship and just say that you shipped it. All right. So all these sellers are basically selling their PC, but now they started selling and want to keep it up. So they get unlocked for immediate funds at 1,000 sales. So now the seller was selling their PC for their dollar gain, and now is actively searching for inventory based on their customers and what is popular. So, somebody comes in and I get a lot of people that ask for Alexa Bliss. Hey, do you have any Alexa Bliss? Do you have any Alexa Bliss? I do. Yeah, here we go. When I don't, that's what I'm looking for, right? Because I know people are going to come in and ask for it. The wrestling community is a smaller niche. You don't have to worry about teams. You just got to worry about the character, right? Do you have the character? So here comes the point where you're selling your PC for profit. To hear somebody say they will buy 80% of the card's worth, or maybe having a consignment with a good streamer or a company at a good rate, sometimes is like I do, I want to moment. But 80% cash or direct payment is recommended if you're short on time or patience, or you want the best money for your cards. Because once you get that, and it is immediate, you can go back to spending. But let's talk about eBay, live selling, and more. So once again, I think, honestly, if you're looking to sell your PC, unless you need to be on Whatnot, try to consign with somebody. You're more likely going to get a better deal and get more money based on their room, their ability to sell your cards, what kind of cards you have. It's just, you got to be careful with that stuff, right? All right. So I can't speak much on card shows. I've been to a few, but, or even selling at card shops because I haven't done that process yet. But we'll speak on eBay first. Probably the easiest, most shopped, most searched, and simplest process. Maybe buy sports cards is a little bit simpler for low-end stuff, but you can choose to set it and forget it at a set price with offers turned on. A multi-day auction, this can seem risky, but if there are comps in the area of where you want to make, be sure to take good pictures. If I use a comp to prepare myself, I tend to utilize that listing information and take similar photos. Take notes that if ending your auction at 2 in the morning, you probably will receive less value due to timing. eBay is going to have seller fees and scammers, shill bids, and move, so sellers beware. When selling low-end cards, ensure PWE is turned on and the standard shipping method for you. Nobody wants a $2 card with $5 shipping. Nobody. Guess what? If you send a $2 card and it gets damaged in the mail, that's unfortunate, right? You should take the necessary caution to protect it with a top loader, team bag, so forth and so forth, right? At the end, if you have to refund the shipper, it's very unfortunate. But if you're selling multiple low-end cards throughout the week and you need let's say a 95% fill rate, sell 100 cards and you're gonna have 5 damaged. It happens out there in the world all the time. There's not one person on eBay who hasn't had a bad review or a bad instance that has come back because of something that's happened. It just doesn't happen, right? So even the biggest sellers. But nobody wants a $2 card with $5 shipping. It's just plain and simple. All right. So live selling is different in a manner where you can cultivate relationships with people. They begin to trust requests and typically pay around where you'd like to be. This is also good for selling without comps. If you are selling a Rikishi Gold to $50, maybe on eBay it sold for $4.99. But live selling, you can have it go at auction on Whatnot. And let's just say the market takes it to $16 just because of the popularity of the show. So you have 80 people in the room. And this actually happened. I watched a live streamer that I watch consistently on Whatnot take a Rikishi Gold that has sold for $4.99 on eBay, take that card, put it up for live auction, and it went for $16. I've put up a WWE Prism Blaster before that I started at $2 and it went for $65. Now, that's what they thought was the price. That's what they were worth and willing to pay for it at that time. Now, I did rip it live and I did top load a few cards for them and ship that stuff, but same thing. They're just going against each other and bid warring until they get to where they want to be. All right. So I've seen some pretty negative feedback about live selling items where the seller misleads the buyer with previous comps. I definitely don't support that. But if you utilize information about the card, it can drive the price up. The part is good selling, right? Think about a car salesman. You don't just buy the car at what they're saying. Like, they're going to get the extras and the bonuses. So if I have a Rikishi Gold, if I'm talking about 22 Prism, right? Let's just say 22 Prism. I'm going to call it first year Prism. I'm going to call it discontinued Prism. I'm going to talk about how hard they were to gem and all these kinds of things that are actually involved with those cards. But that doesn't necessarily mean I'm misleading on information. That is correct and true information. They were hard to gem. It was first year Prism, and it's not going to be made anymore. So, all in all, I do suggest utilizing cash sales or consignments, but if you do start live selling throughout our series, you'll be able to hear some tips and tricks and help you make sales in those platforms. And as always, follow us on socials and send us a message. If you have already have a channel and want it recognized, shoot us a message and as well and get your page highlighted in the show. Now, I will show you a few sellers right now that are on Whatnot that sell wrestling cards that I do suggest that you go follow because they do run some really good shows and they do have some pretty good inventory. Like I said, some people do hold it a little bit higher because they want to keep it, and that's no fault to them. That's what they want. But the price is the price. Just remember that. All right. Now, I'm going to throw up on the screen these streamers right now. And here is some other issues that you come up with selling your PC and your personal collection, right? And all your cards. Here is hobby versus business tax issues. Here is ChatGPT's take on how much you're going to pay in taxes. And here's some other things that, popping up on the screen right now that you just got to be aware of, right? When you're selling your personal collection. All right. So, while I do appreciate all those new wrestling sellers on there, and while I am still a rookie wrestling seller on Whatnot, remember, Uncle Sam gets his. You got to be fair to buyers, or nobody's going to come in the show. And you got to build relationships. All right, so now for my wrestlers on the rope, 5 wrestling cards who you should be paying attention to, in my opinion. Once again, this is my opinion. This is not financial advice. These are people that I think are right there on the cusp of a little bit of a breakout. And I will tell you this. Naomi was in last week's, and at this point right now, she has cashed in 1. So any Naomi's that you got, pay attention to that price right now. All right, so here we go. Number 1, Jade Cargill. She'll be put over soon enough, hoping it lasts a solid spike. And I wrote this a little while ago, so I put before Naomi cashes in. But Naomi cashed in, so we'll see what happens with it. But Jade Cargill, for sure. And I do see a lot of popularity with her growing right now. Karrion Kross, we talked about it earlier. Karrion Kross heating up right now. Pay attention to TV time as this is his main spike, but merchandise is selling. Merchandise is selling. That means cards are selling. People are looking to collect things from him. Any Wyatt 6. So before they won the tag team titles, I wrote this. Any Wyatt 6 right now. Uncle Howdy specifically, but whoever, as long as they represent focus on new product, right? So you want to focus on Topps Chrome. You want to focus on Cactus Jack. You want to focus on things that are potentially coming out soon. Another disappointing week in the Topps world where everybody thought we were getting Cactus Jack on Monday as far as pre-orders. It didn't come down. Whether or not it comes down. They released Topps Finest Baseball before that. Topps Finest Baseball is usually a month plus after Topps Chrome releases. What up? Anyways, all right, Trick Williams. Okay, Trick Williams can relatively find him for cheap and great potential to the main roster after he loses the title. So once he falls on that TNA belt, which, like I said, I didn't get to watch All In, but I'm pretty sure he's still rocking it, right? But once he's out, he's going to the main roster. I can see him on SmackDown probably, which does not help because it's just not the best program to be on right now. All right. Any rookie card logo in cards in 24 Prism. Thank me later on that one. Any rookie card logo cards, right? Anything with the rookie stamp in 24 Prism. Just thank me later. All right. That's it for another episode of where we focused about selling your PC for profit. I'm sure down the road we will talk about this even more. Once again, I suggest consignment and I suggest selling to a card shop. I suggest selling at that 80% because you're probably going to end up getting 80% anyways on whatnot. But But I can tell you for sure that's where we're at. All right. So we're going to talk about this even more down the road. The next episode will probably have some highlights in there. But for now, check out this Rip Buddy. So here is a picture of the Rip Buddy. And let's rip a pack of NXT 2.0 for fun. This is from a blaster box. But the new collector is a highly recommended available product. By the way, paying $74.99 for a chrome blaster is just nonsense, in my opinion. All right, guys, here we go with our NXT pack rip. I'm going to do my best to get this to the camera as best as possible, and we'll see what we get. So we can get Braun Breaker rookies. We can get Tiffany Stratton rookies, Solo Sikoa, Roxanne Perez. They are all in this product. Potential for autos, potential for everything. All right, so, and let me separate these a little bit. Okay, perfect. Fallon Henley. Is that Wesley? Yep, Wesley. Horrible camera. I'll get better, I promise. Oliver Carter. Stevie Turner on the rookie. Johnny Saint. James Drake. Shaw Samuels. A lot of rookies in this product. Ashton Smith. Von Wagner rookie. By the way, I know somebody who collects Von Wagner. So things like this, maybe I've sold a few of these to him, but things like this can get that $1 or $2, right? Jack Stars. Joaquin Wild. And here we go. I'm definitely keeping this one's going in the PC. This is another PC for me. Braun Breaker rookie card. Okay. Shayna Bays, whatever you want to say. Sanga on the green. And this Solo Sikoa. So this does not have the rookie logo on it, but it is 2021 Solo Sikoa strengthens Anoa'i family legacy with quick win over Jeff Rama and Jeet Rama and NXT debut. He did hit NXT running, and on the Braun Breaker it says NXT is Braun Breaker's playground, and he decides who gets to play in it. The two-time NXT champion was in his prime during NXT Spring Break-In, where he met the ever-irritating Joe Gacy, right? Who talked his way into a title shot. Breaker summarily put Gacy in his place with a devastating spear that led to the pin. Devastating spear is a very good way to put it because Braun Breaker does some damage. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Here are a few cards from this week that I've seen sell or not sell that stood out to me. Check them out. I will tell you this too. I think I'm including it, but I had a eBay buy that I had, right? Thought I got it, right? $9 for an out of 10 Bloodline card from Topps Chrome this year. What do you think happened? Buyer canceled. Damaged. He didn't get what he wanted. I paid $9 for it. But I thought I finally had a steal on eBay. Didn't. All right. So, we will see you next time for Cardboard Moonsault Mania. Brought to you by Manic Axe. Subscribe, like, and comment. And let me know what you would like to be interested in hearing about. Remember, this journey is all about selling low-end wrestling cards. So this journey, we talked about our route in selling our own personal collection for personal gain. The next episode, we're going to focus a lot on some of this Topps Chrome that has come out and hopefully a new product by then. We'll see you next time. All right, so I'm new at this video editing thing, so I'm going to enter this in the middle of everything. Here are some supplies and things that I use from Amazon. Here are some tax tips, and here are all these sellers that I was talking about. So check them out. Let me know if you have any questions, and definitely check us out next time. But here's the rest of the video. See ya.